statements in a predetermined order. Keisha will give the first opening statement. You have 2 minutes.
Let's just start then?
Yep.
All right. I would like to just let you know that I'm running because I'm disgusted with the hypocrisy of this university and its professionals, and then its answer to students' righteous anger about LGBT issues, immigrant issues, issues of people of color being enrolled at this school, and disability issues, is to hold talks, only to hold campaigns, and then never to think about it again. The only way to see any type of actual positive and sustainable impact on this campus is not to talk, but to act. Anything that can possibly have been said has been said, and the only thing left to do now is to act. We can talk forever, but there will be no future for this university until rapists are punished swiftly and severely, until racist students are dealt with equally as actively, until students of color, LGBT students, women students, and students with disability don't only feel safe, but are actually safe for real to speak about their experiences. Until those experiences are as powerfully respected and those students are more protected than their attackers, there will be no change on this campus. I recently transferred from the University of Michigan Dearborn, and there I was asked to bring my own personal experiences and understanding to the classroom. At U of M Ann Arbor, that right of education is treated as a privilege, only available for the people to whom racism, sexism, classism, LGBT issues, and ableism do not affect. When I told GSI I trusted about my experiences with being silenced in a classroom over racist subjects, they expressed that they were aware of the racism, and they lamented that it would be best to keep my head down. He was speaking from personal experiences. Luckily, I'm perfectly aware that silence and disappearing is not the answer. DAP has provided a platform for students like me and other students who want to mobilize to be able to make a real positive change and impact on this campus through going to courts, holding, like mobilizing behind students who are going to court for their immigrant status, behind holding marches and signing petitions, behind just actively mobilizing on campus. And we also are having a tribunal this coming Wednesday where we are inviting all students to come out and speak about their situations and their problems that they faced on this campus.
Next is William.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is William. We really care about three things in particular. One is empowerment, making sure that we capture all the voices on campus, on this huge campus of the leaders and the best. That means getting students to other students' leaders, as well as getting students to other administrators on this campus so that they can carry the initiatives that they care about. We at the team recognize that we are not always the experts at every initiative. Things such as sexual assault prevention, things such as breast cancer awareness. There are experts on campus who are very knowledgeable of these things, and our job as the leaders are to get them in the correct spaces into the correct platform. The second thing, cross-campus collaboration. We have a vision with the team to create a very homogeneous, the most homogeneous campus that we have ever seen. That is the potential that we hold as the leaders in the best. It is very easy for us to confide in our own communities, to settle, to be okay with not reaching out. But we can only reach our potential as students and as leaders by collaborating to make this campus as well as it can be. The last thing is safety. We truly prioritize safety. Campus should feel like a home for all students. This should be a place that we claim as our own. We all were accepted. We all should graduate from here. And the key thing here is that some students are marginalized. Some students feel like they're ostracized on this campus. And it's our job to fix that. It's our job as the team, it's my job, and that's the change that I believe in. That's the change that this campus needs because we will not be satisfied with the status quo. We need this change for campus. Thank you.
Scott? And finally is Cooper.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to come listen to three excellent candidates talk about why we want to be up here. I'm an older brother. I have two younger brothers at home, and there was this moment where I was like, I will never love somebody as much as I love these two kids. I came to the university, and I felt that love one more time. I came into the university off of fresh hip surgery. Long story short, 3 surgeries later, the university could have left me behind. They could have decided not to help me pay for surgery. They could have decided not to give me the academic support I needed to meet the standards that Michigan sets. It is my responsibility. It is my turn. It is Make Michigan's turn to give back to this university. Please, 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 think about your families around the table. Think about us up here. We want to make that environment once again. Once again. When you look yourself in the mirror, you want to be comfortable, like you belong on this campus. Will said it. Inclusivity, safety, these are important things. These are crucial things. And Make Michigan is going to make that difference. The last thing I want to close with, the last thing I want to leave you guys with, is how lucky I am to be up here representing Make Michigan. Looking at every single one of you in the eyes, I see you demanding more from CSG. We are here to give that to you next year. And I promise, through everyone within Make Michigan, that we are here to make the difference. Thank you.
Okay, now we move into the question portion of the debate, and we've done the introductions and applause after each candidate, so let's please hold these until the end of the debate. The first question. The United States is becoming racially diverse more quickly than at any time in its history. How have your background experiences made you a diverse candidate that can uplift and relate to people of different backgrounds? And first is Cooper.
Thank you very much. So as you mentioned earlier, I'm currently the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. The student athlete population is 931 strong. It often goes unrecognized how diverse our campus is. South Campus has so many unique and special individuals stemming from different backgrounds, different religions, different gender identities, and it has been my responsibility as president to really challenge myself to understand all of them. We want to make campus safer. We want safety to also include inclusivity. It's not just about safety as mentally safe, physically safe, and sexually safe. These are things that are paramount. We must focus on keeping track of what's important to us. You look up here and see a white individual. And I'm going to say, you are all thinking, how can he relate? But I understand through empathy, through sitting across the table and understanding where somebody's coming from, not saying I was there, but saying that I can feel your passion. I can understand what you're trying to say, and I want to help you. These are things that I was able to do with the student athletes. And yes, 931 is a lot of people, but 43,000 undergraduates and graduate students is even more. And I want to take what I learned in that population and provide it to everyone else on this campus. Thank you.
I want to respond to this question first by addressing some of Cooper's statements. He said that he expressed empathy. He expressed concern and that he was relatable to a diverse population. Fortunately, Make Michigan and Cooper, they have on their platform that they care about the race and ethnicity issue, that they care about that requirement. And I have some reservations with that statement because they released a statement with the Daily about BBUM. And I am the Academic Concerns Chair of the Black Student Union, and I'm on the committee for the race and ethnicity issue. So I know for a fact that they have not reached out to our party. They have not reached out to our organization. If you are going to serve, if you're going to serve that community, it is imperative. It is imperative that you reach out and you learn and you understand about our struggles. Myself, I'm extremely dedicated to diversity on campus. Through the Black Student Union, I had a vision last year from our demand to increase black representation to 10%. I said, we're going to do this. We're going to make sure we do it. We're not going to just rely on the administration. We created this year the MER program, which is bringing 42 underrepresented students in April for a 3-day residential program to show them our campus, to show them what it means to go blue. Now, and I'm not only speaking about racial, I'm not only speaking about ethical diversity, but I, as you mentioned, am a very diverse student in general.
And finally is Keisha.
I don't have to talk about these other parties that are running right now because all that DAP and BAM are are fighting for and with these students who are what you would like to call the umbrella term diverse, or working for that sort of concept that is inclusive. What is inclusivity to you two? What is it? LGBT students need the support that they can't get on this campus, and we have been working with them. I just recently joined Mosaic, which is a small group of actual students who are LGBT, who continuously speak out against the problems with the actual administration and how they represent LGBT students on this campus and how they represent their issues. We recently also banned mobilized students to go to trials for undocumented immigrants who were being forcibly removed from this country for no reason other than trying to get back to their home. For example, what was it, last week that we went to Ubaldo Castaneda Tapia's case. And we were proud to speak with his family and to know him as a person, and also understand that our fight for him is also significant for all of the fights that are going on around immigration right now. And we also work very closely with the Detroit schools and the DFT. Recently, our longtime BAM leader, Steve Kahn, was elected the president of the DFT. And this is like these are the things that we are actually doing right now.
Next question. The University of Michigan has a unified commitment to sustainability education, research, operations, and community engagement. What new efforts, if any, would you like to see on campus to further these efforts to reduce waste and consumption? And William is first.
Excellent question. Sustainability aligns with the protocol and with the values of the university. We at the team prioritize this greatly. One thing that my running mate, Matt Fidel, has been working on continuously is a program where you can donate your leftover blue books at the end of your semester to charity, to food gatherings. This is something that is, in fact, sustainable. Because I reflect as a freshman, as a sophomore, living in the dorms, and at the end of the school year, we would just go buy candy. It would be very wasteful in these things. And this is something that is so important because people are starving every day. People are hungry. And Ann Arbor, this isn't something that's just going on in the nation, in our society, in our community. This is right here in our backyard. So that is something that is very important. It's something that we're working on right now. It's not what we're talking about, it's what we're doing. And you need tangible leaders, leaders who have proof of execution, and that is what we represent here at the team.
Thank you.
DAP would like to support student-run environmental groups like student food co-ops who work to bring affordable fresh fruits and vegetables in campus community centers. As you said, this isn't a faraway problem. This is a problem that faces, to be honest, it's something that I've faced before, and I know that like one of the things that I really love about the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor is that this is the first place where I've actually been able to eat 3 full square meals a day. And I snap pictures of my food and send them to my mother because we have not had that luxury. It's really a luxury, and it's something that's not afforded to many students in their regular lives, to people all around this country and all around the world. And we also want to build a new politically independent environmental movement united with the international struggle for civil rights and immigrant rights in the fight to solve the environmental crisis. Because we can't just focus on it as like some sort of general concept of people out there, you know. It's people here, and it's also people who are regularly affected by our own wasteful use of the myriad resources that we receive.
And finally,
Will talked about proof of execution. You know, Make Michigan has demonstrated last year that they were able to bring fresh produce to this university. You know, when you talk about these things, you talk about execution. You know, building a culture, of accountability. You know, that starts not only with students, that starts with faculty. So what we are aiming to do is working with dining halls to have compost areas where we can put our food. I think it's important to note, South Quad is new. You want to try all these new foods, so you bring back 5 different dishes. If you're honest with yourself, you probably didn't finish all of those dishes. So now you're throwing food away. This is something that we do every day that we contribute, that we might not see unless we take a step back and take a breath. Working with dining halls to provide the University of Michigan with infrastructure to create compost, which then helps our community gardens, which then helps bring us together, which then helps sustainability. This is a connection of actionable and tangible goals that we can accomplish. We both, and now all three, have talked about execution. It is easy to sit up here and talk. Make Michigan has shown through this past year that we've executed on our goals, and with our realistic and collaborative initiatives to work with the infrastructure that's already there, we're going to make these things happen. It is very, very important, the difference between a brand new idea and finding a problem and solutions that are already there and connecting the two. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. The infrastructure is there. Through our relationships, we are aiming to connect the two for sustainability.
Thank you. Next question. Several high-profile victims have recently died at the hands of police shootings in the past several months. Do you think University of Michigan police officers should be permitted to carry guns on campus? Keisha is first.
I do not. I don't know how else you want me to word this. I do not. I feel like overall there needs to be more comprehensive understanding of gun control on this campus and for what it means for students and for everyone in Ann Arbor, actually. And just because those guns represent a real threat to students who are profiled by police officers. And that's not something that you should have to hold them accountable for. That should just be something that isn't a problem.
I would have to agree. We need a more comprehensive understanding of gun control. But I also want to challenge people to remember of the tragic incidents at Columbine. Just because time is in between the past and now, we forget these things. By no means do we want a tragedy like that to happen at the University of Michigan. And yes, we need to understand gun control at a more personal and professional and safe level, but we cannot forget the past. It is crucial we do not forget the past. I do not want to be up here next year, or one of our candidates up here next year, talking about a tragedy that happened because we were not prepared to stop an active shooter threat. I think it is very clear that the university has put the processes in place to train our resident staff to come to different organizations and teach them about active shooter procedure. Now, I will say that that training needs to be renegotiated. It needs to be more comprehensive, and the understanding needs to be there. But what I am trying to say is do not let time allow us to forget about the tragedies that have happened in our country. Thank you.
Really, thank you for this question, because this is an issue that is very near to me. I was part of the Police Brutality Speak Out, spoke there. It was a collaboration with the Black Student Union and Central Student Government, and did a lot of activism as a part of the Black Student Union. We facilitated two DIAG, one, a non-DIAG, and another one on graduation in the wintertime. And this issue of gun control is something that needs to be talked about. I do not believe that officers should be permitted. I think that at the rudimentary level, it's education. It's teaching students. It's creating a more homogeneous campus that we can all relate to each other and understand each other. These are the issues. Why do we need to wait until it gets to that level? We need to start understanding each other. We need to start empowering each other, which is what the team represents. So the answer here is education. Thank you.
On February 27th, the university announced it was taking decisive action against the fraternity and sororities responsible for reprehensible behavior and vandalism at Treetops Resort near Gaylord that occurred in mid-January. Do you agree with the university's actions, and/or what else should have been done in response? And William is first.
I believe that the incidents that happened are unacceptable. I believe that the incidents are not reflective of this university, and they are not reflective of Greek life. I am a member of Greek life, being a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and I know that fraternities and sororities represent principle. They represent academics and excellence. What needs to follow this, and I stand by this and by the decision that the university made, that they acted swiftly. What needs to follow this is, again, education. We need to stop this before it gets out of hand, because as a member of Greek life, I understand we can get out of line sometimes. Things get exciting. But why not do bystander intervention? Why not do all of these educational reform policies before we even get there? Let that be the first thing that we do. together. That's how we can move forward with this and make a more homogeneous campus. Thank you.
Keisha's next.
I believe that the actions that the university took should have happened more swiftly with no excuses. I want to also say that Deb and Bam both support Greek life, especially personally, sororities are a big deal to me because they represent a sisterhood and a support network for women, all of whom are under attack on this campus when it shows that it doesn't care about sexual assault and rape survivors. And these communities, like you said, are not inherently bad places. But if you don't act swiftly for the things that are wrong, you're not going to see any change, and you're going to see these issues continue and increase. That's it.
Thank you. So to answer the question directly, I condemn these actions. This is not what the University of Michigan stands for. This is not what our reputation has presented with us. I think it's very, very, very important to note, though, the good things Greek life has done. We all support Greek life. However, the fact that particular individuals can tarnish and influence the reputation of many is something that is unacceptable. I also want to talk about the campus-wide honor code. We talk about how are we going to hold people accountable? How are we going to have a culture of accountability? This honor code holds people to a certain standard. It lets them know what is right and what is wrong. Now, should we probably know that on our own? In our families, in our friend groups? Yes, but now there's no gray area between what is right and what is wrong. And lastly, in closing, Make Michigan is here to make you guys proud of us again. We don't want you to have to walk into a room and somebody ask about those events. We don't want your parents to have to call you and ask you, were you involved? We have work that needs to be done to rebuild our reputation, and Make Michigan is going to make that difference. Thank you.
Next question. The Central Student Government Assembly recently passed a proposal to support the inclusion of the university's sexual misconduct policy on course syllabi. Do you agree with this proposal, and what more should be done to lessen sexual misconduct in Michigan? And Cooper is first.
Thank you. So, sorry. Sexual assault is very important to my family. Sexual assault is very important to my family for reasons that I don't want to get into, but it's one of the most passionate things that I stand for at this University of Michigan. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 33 men. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 33 men either consider themselves survivors or another term that is more comfortable for them. That is a number too high. The fact that we're taking steps to put this language in our syllabi is the first step. We need to be able to talk about these things. Years ago, we would clam up. This might not have even been a question in a debate. These are the right steps to be taken. Now, SAPAC is one of the most powerful resources that we have here on campus. One of the most powerful resources. I've been lucky enough to host talkbacks with them and see their hard work in action. The one thing that I've seen is they're understaffed and they need our support. If they can hear our voice demanding from our administration that we need to give SAPAC the resources and the people to make a bigger impact, that is what we need to do. And finally, I think it's very important to note that I'm part of the Wolverine Support Network. And we train all of our leaders in SAPAC training as well as many others. And we are starting with Make Michigan to make the difference of educating our students to make sure that they can then translate that impact to everybody else. Thank you.
Who's next?
I do support the movement, and I think that we also need to hold this university accountable for the things that it does. Because we regularly have these campaigns and these organizations, and we create more and more of these things, but we're not actually focusing on the real problem, which is that the university does not swiftly and immediately just take care of the situation when it happens. We talk to survivors behind closed doors. We tell them not to talk about their problems. We tell them not to talk about their experiences. We don't do anything about the actual sexual aggressors on this campus. The university regularly drags its feet in sexual assault cases over the 60-day period for investigation of sexual assault cases that is allotted to them. In 60 days, that's 2 months. You do not need more time. And to cover it up, to not give this information out to people that are asking for the information about these cases, it needs to be more transparent. We need to hold the university accountable for its actions.
As Cooper said, this is something that is very near to me. It's something that my family has been very affected by. He mentioned an honor code and policy. And what campus needs is not an honor code. We know what is right and what is wrong. We are adults here. There's no black and white. There's no gray area in sexual assault, okay? There's just not. What we need is a culture shift. We need to change our mentalities. And I had the privilege of speaking at the Culture Shift event at the Trotter Multicultural Center as a keynote speaker. And through that experience, I did more learning than educating. More learning than educating. I became an ally to this community. I realized how big it is, and the thing that I emphasized in this keynote address was that survivors are in fact the strongest individuals in our society. It is our opportunity to learn from them. That they can share their experience and educate us so that we can know how we can be the best allies possible and make this campus what it deserves to be. Thank you.
Question. Amid renewed student protests such as #BBUM, the University of Michigan has broadened its efforts in 2 other steps of the admissions process: admittance and conversion, and beyond, into addressing the climate on campus. Have these efforts been successful thus far? And if not, what more can be done? And Keisha is first.
I don't think that we are doing enough yet. Something very easy that the university could do is hold on-site admissions in Detroit schools specifically, and also implement their own version of the Texas 10% plan, where the top 10% of all high school students immediately get accepted into the main university of the state, which would be the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Now, I know that the university recently put out a statement in the Michigan Daily saying that that's not really plausible, but if you look at the 2014 numbers comparing the Texas enrollment to University of Michigan Ann Arbor enrollment, you can see that they are drastically more represented in all categories of races than the University of Michigan Ann Arbor, besides the category of other, which is obviously mixed race section. And so I can definitely say that it's not hurting.
So the actions following the BBUM movement is not enough. It's not enough. I can talk about this from experience firsthand, being a part of the Black Student Union. And what I want to express that is the next steps in moving forward is empowering students to make change on campus. And this is something that I've had the opportunity to do and work with Provost Rob Sellers, creating the MEAR program. Again, we're bringing 42 underrepresented students, raised $20,000 for this initiative. And now this is something that's going to change lives. This is something that is going to make a difference because the students, because we had the vision and we went to the administrators. What we need from the administrators now is to create resources, create these platforms, and to empower more students. And that is what we believe the team is responsible for doing. Thank you.
Thank you. So one thing that I learned recently when doing the research is it's not that students are not being admitted to the University of Michigan, it's that the University of Michigan is not providing them the things that they need to say yes. Financial aid. Financial aid is not told or not given upon your acceptance letter. An acceptance letter that should be bringing you great joy is met with, do I have to fill out a FAFSA? Will I actually get money? This is something that is a breakdown in the process. We aren't turning people away. We're just not providing with the things they need to say yes. The university can absolutely do more. Now, it's important to catch the university doing something right. Oftentimes it seems that we are just attacking the university. Thanks to Will's efforts, and the efforts of many, they were heard. And the university put in their strategic plan for diversity. Something that I agree with. Something that I also think needs to be renegotiated at some points. The one thing that I really want to bring up is redefining what the race and ethnicity requirement actually means. Race and ethnicity requirement, if you really ask yourself, was either on a very extreme end or maybe nothing at all. You didn't learn anything. You need to have people who've been there in the community helping us define those classes, helping people learn what it means on campus because then that solves the final problem. We take care of financial aid. People come to our campus, now they feel safe once they get here.
Next question. Some members of the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity at the University of Oklahoma were videotaped singing a racist song on a bus, and a video of this incident went public. What do you think should be done to prevent an incident like this from ever occurring at the University of Michigan? And Cooper is first.
Thank you. So I actually want to go back to Will's comments on the honor code. And this plays in perfectly real quick. Keisha talked about making sure that the university is not dragging their feet. What the honor code does is defines what is right and wrong. Yes, we should know what right and wrong is. But by the honor code telling us, no, you are wrong here, the university can now move more swiftly and more decisively as dealing out punishment. So the honor code is essential to make sure that these things happen. Relating that to the comments that were made, the honor code will keep us from making these mistakes. And if it doesn't, it provides the language, the understanding, and the recourse needed to punish individuals from doing this. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I have an education plan to give to our students that's going to tell them not to make comments like these. This is a moral battle between people. Will said it. A culture shift, a change in culture. And that starts with everyone in this room. That starts with everyone on campus. We need to make sure we have the things in place, institutionally, and through the process, so people know what is right and wrong, so they can go have those conversations. Make it easier to talk about these things. And eventually, over time, that shift will happen. Do we want it tomorrow? Yes. But we must be realistic. Thank you.
Thank you. Williams next.
Cooper spent all his time talking about me, so I'll spend time talking about the question. So the question, in fact, was about the things that happened with the fraternity. And that kind of language, those kinds of things are completely unacceptable. And those actions would not have been changed by an honor code. They would not be changed by an honor code. Those students did not start doing that day. They didn't learn that chant on that evening. That being said, what we need is a culture shift. These things need to be taught. It needs to be something that is ingrained in us as students, empowering each other. Again, supporting each other. We were focused on cross-campus collaboration and reaching out to other communities and inviting people into our spaces. The kind of language that was used in that video would never have been used before. It's unacceptable, and I believe that the university acted swiftly and promptly, and that was the correct decision to do. Thank you.
And finally, Keisha.
Swift and powerful action for those instances is the right thing for the university to do. I also think that if we manage to increase minority enrollment, we'd have less of this problem because classes would be more integrated and you'd be having more of these discussions. You also, like you said, the honor code is a collection of words. It is not an actual movement. You need to remember that the reason that that incident in SAE was brought to the attention of the administration was because of swift student mobilization. They made it very clear that they were not going to accept this. And that is what DEP stands for, is student mobilization for these issues that are important, when the university either wouldn't know about it otherwise or would drag its feet. So.
Question. The University of Michigan has launched a campaign aimed at teaching students that certain words are considered offensive and should not be used on campus. Do you think this is a good idea, and what type of similar initiatives do you think would positively contribute to the campus climate? And William is first.
I believe that this is a great initiative, that language is important, that it can be offensive. Again, on my keynote address at Culture Shift, I learned so much about the language when it comes to sexual assault prevention. Things that I just didn't know because I didn't have the expertise. By reaching out and learning about these things, I was able to become more educated about how language, just the difference between certain key words, how they can hurt people. We should be trying to uplift each other. So that's a very important thing. To continue with that, I want to talk about our platform point with Greek life. I want to talk about the universal MPAC, MGC, IFC, and Pan-Hell Greek Week. where we can actually, through this platform point, start to build community, start to build a more homogeneous campus where we become aware of these things. One of the main reasons why we're using this language and not being knowledgeable is we're not interacting with each other. So let's change that. Let's change that through team.
Thank you. Keisha is next.
I think that they need to act, that the university itself needs to actually follow through with what they say. Earlier in my opening statement, I mentioned that the university regularly holds talks, holds campaigns, and then once they put that issue, once they put that forward, they never talk about it again. In 2002, BAM actually represented a sexual assault survivor in court against the university. She had a trial against the university in which we won. But then the university immediately appealed to a more conservative Michigan Supreme Court, which overturned the victory. And at the same time, they conducted a massive poster campaign on campus featuring top administrators claiming to have a zero-tolerance policy against sexual abuse on campus. Now, isn't that a bit hypocritical? We need to hold this university accountable, and they need to actually do what they say that they're going to do. And DAP will actually make that happen.
I would agree. This is a great initiative, and I've been lucky enough to actually go through this training. And I think it plays back into safety. Now remember, safety is not only physically safe and sexually safe, but mentally safe. You should be able to feel comfortable on campus. We talk about that all the time, but what does that mean? The interactions you have. No, the ideas that you have. Feeling that you're heard. These are so important, and I cannot say in more agreement what these two just said. I think inclusive language is paramount, but the one thing that needs to be brought up in this conversation is not infringing on our First Amendment rights. Do not get me wrong. By no means can somebody attack another person through language, but there have also been intense First Amendment issues all around campus, what people can and can't do. So we need to temper this conversation with the understanding that this initiative is the right step. It is the right thing, but also understand on a large scale, our First Amendment rights cannot be inhibited. Thank you.
Next question. The Central Student Government Assembly recently approved a proposal to support the creation of a committee that would consider the university's investments and the potential of divesting from oil and coal companies. Do you have an opinion on this divestment strategy, and what else should the university do regarding climate change? And Keisha is first.
BAM and DAP both do support divestment from these certain companies that the university is supporting. We also believe that we need to create a better platform for students whom these issues will affect, for immigrant students to be able to talk about these issues and to be able to mobilize in order to move forward the things that they need to move forward in order to feel safe and actually be safe on this campus. And in terms of what we can do more, I think that we, like I said earlier, we should support student-run groups and just try to promote student involvement and awareness.
Thank you. Cooper's next.
Thank you. So, have to applaud CSG for their resolution last night. Before the resolution was passed and renegotiated, I was against it. Here's why. I strongly believe that climate change is scientifically proven. It's wrong. It is wrong. And what CSG was able to do last night was to go in and understand this scientific fact and its relationship to the university. Something that I think is very, very key in understanding. I support this initiative, this resolution, as long as it does not affect the financial health of our institution. If we call for more financial aid for students, if we call for more initiatives on campus, for funding our student ideas, we have to make sure that we're not jeopardizing that same money that helps people come to this school. Now, long term, do we want to get away from oil and coal? Absolutely. But the University of Michigan is a leading researcher trying to find different ways to use energy. And if now we stifle the students that are coming here to solve those problems, we're taking even further steps back. So again, it is important to understand that the financial health of this university is what's going to lead to the change that we are all looking for. Thank you.
And finally, William.
Yes, I support the resolution. I think it's very important that we stay steadfast to what we believe in, to what this university represents. To take a moment to address Cooper's comments, I do not think that it matters as far as the financial situation. I think that this university has, I know that this university has one of the biggest endowments in the country. So what comes first? Our financial stability, which will be unaffected, or the principles and the standards that this university claims as its own? That's what makes us Wolverines. Our standards, our principles. And that is why we need to stay focused on what really matters. Thank you.
Final question. A few years ago, President Obama addressed college rising affordability and tuition costs in a speech here at the University of Michigan. What, if anything, do you think that can be done to make college more affordable for Michigan students? And Cooper is first.
Thank you. Again, it plays back to what we were just talking about. I understand principle, core values, University of Michigan. These are the things you think about. But you also think about the great things we've been able to give to this world. The technological advances. We're only able to do because we provided the infrastructure for students to come here. So again, it comes down to the purpose, the meaning that I'm trying to get across. Is we need to be able to maintain that infrastructure to get students here. And now, to what Obama said, and what President Slishel said when he committed to our university. Making it cheaper, making it more affordable for you to come to our school. Giving grants out to students. Making it accessible for students to find where the scholarship money is coming from. The misconception that there's no money. But there is. From the university and maintaining its financial health, and through student initiatives that benefit from that financial health to provide infrastructure for students to easily locate scholarships, grants. This is what we need to do. It starts with the students. It starts with the students. Thank you.
Next is William.
Cooper makes some good points. It does start with the students. It absolutely starts with the students. And for me, this is something that is really important because coming to the University of Michigan, this is something that I had a very low socioeconomic status. I'm currently an independent student, putting myself through school here. And one of the biggest things that I've been able to benefit from was knowledge. Knowing that there are scholarships that are available. Knowing that the university will support you. And what we need to do as students is make that knowledge more accessible to students. That's one of the key reasons that I had the vision for the MER program. To bring these students, young freshmen and sophomore students, to campus so they can see what our campus has to offer, inspire them to become future Wolverines, and then get them to the correct administrators. Create that transparency for the future Wolverines so that we can have more inclusivity, we can have a better campus, and we can produce and reach our potential as the leaders in the best. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Keisha.
We as students need to mobilize to oppose congressional cuts to student grants and loan programs. And I think that the university in general needs to utilize the money that they have and allocate it much, much better. This summer, the university allocated $450,000 for a pilot program to provide financial aid for undocumented students, but the money has not all been used. And most of the students who would apply for it don't even know it exists. And we need no cuts or decrease of existing funding for undocumented students. We also need integration of more scholarships for housing and tuition for low-income students. And we need to advocate for more public funding from the state. That's where a really big problem is. Our endowment is more than our actual budget, and Michigan is one of the lowest ranking states in terms of the actual money that's allocated for public education. And that is where we find these problems, especially with the corporatization of education here. It's a big problem, and it's something that needs to be fought at the fundamental level, which is what I and DAP in general hope to, plan to do. We don't hope to do it, we're going to do it.
Of the debate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, and first is Cooper.
Thank you. I talked a little bit in my opening statements about my love for this university. When I did my research, athletics was obviously a very important thing to me. There's an opportunity for me to compete and follow passion. it was an opportunity for me to receive a scholarship and afford an institution like this. But then I started doing some digging. What is the University of Michigan all about? The University of Michigan is where great minds come, where some of the smartest people leave, where great debates are allowed to be had, where both sides of the argument are allowed to be had. For God's sakes, the Peace Corps was founded on our steps. You talk about impact. You talk about things that the University of Michigan has done, not only for this state, for this country, but internationally. With Make Michigan, we're going to be able to make the difference. The difference is both small and large. By helping student safety, increase off-campus lighting, more bus routes, by giving the people what they need, but more outlets in the ugly, the small things, by renegotiating what it means to have a Chrysler experience, to have a Michigan basketball experience. And then also, like we've all talked about up here, is making sure the voice is heard. Diversity is more than skin deep. Diversity is more than gender identity. It's more than religion. And we need to understand that when we're talking about the University of Michigan. We have the ability to make immense change, and the only way we can do that is together. And I hope that you will help us make Michigan a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. And William's next.
Cooper mentioned Make Michigan, making the difference. I want you to all ask yourselves, because Make Michigan is the current administration. Are you satisfied? Has your voice and your concerns been represented this year? Do you want another year of the same thing? For many of my friends and myself, oftentimes the answer is no. That is the reason why I'm running as the presidential candidate for the team. Again, we emphasize empowerment, cross-campus collaboration, and safety. And we chose specifically, we comprised our slate of members all across the competition, across the campus. We have the most diverse slate that we could make. We tried. That's the best that we could do, and we wanted to do that. We did that intentionally because we want to capture all those voices. We want to be the change that this campus so desperately needs. And that's not going to take one person. That's going to take a group of experts. What that is going to take is a team.
And finally, Keisha.
I am running because I refuse to believe in the lie that there is nothing that I or any other students or the university itself can do to immediately change the rampant racism, sexism, anti-LGBT prejudice, and ableism on this campus. To believe in the suggestion that all we can do is keep our heads down until something changes is to support a demoralizing process. We, as students who can, will, and do mobilize and act on what is right. We are that change. We all have the power to shape this university and its policies in our image, and we all deserve and need a central student government that will not shy away from the honor of representing us and all that we fight for so righteously and deserve so much. We have the power to make this university reverse the drop in minority enrollment, punish sexual aggressors and rapists swiftly and severely, actively treat education as a right and not a privilege for students who at present cannot, and to make this an actually safe and welcoming campus for students who are immigrants, students who are LGBT, and students with disabilities.